Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Cafe Bagheri's Kitchen. I'm sure a lot of you have seen our Persian Tahchin video where I made it on the stovetop in a pot, the traditional way. Tahchin, of course, is a rice cake made with yogurt, eggs, and saffron. Well, today I'm going to make Persian Tahchin in the oven. It's so easy to make, makes for a great presentation, and it feeds a lot more people than if you made it in the pot. So let's make some Persian Tahchin in the oven. Okay, we have cleaned our rice. Now we're gonna just rinse some of the starch off of it. We do this 3 times. The instructions on this are on multiple rice videos that we have. You can check it out. But we do this 3 times. Don't scrub the grains between your fingers. You just need to push them around to get some of the dust off of them. That's the purpose of this exercise. And 3 or 4 times until it becomes kind of sort of clear. You will have some cloudiness left, and that's okay. See, this was the last one. And then we fill it up one last time, like on the 4th fill. And we will put 4 tablespoons of regular table salt. And I will use a spatula or a spoon to mix this. So this is in effect a salt brine for our rice. We let this sit about an hour to 3 hours. Don't leave it overtime or anything. Your rice becomes too soft. Our rice has been soaking for a couple of hours now, and I have a pot of water boiling. We are ready. Remember, this is just your basic Persian rice recipe, same as the Tahchin that we made in the pot. The first part is the same. We're gonna boil rice. So this has been in a salt brine for a couple of hours. I'm gonna add it to the boiling water with the brine, okay? So it all goes in here. I am going to squirt about a tablespoon of my neutral oil. Again, I use grapeseed oil, and just give it a first stir. You don't want the soaked rice to settle down and clump up at the bottom or stick to each other, the rice grains. So now this is well on its way, and then we're gonna strain it and proceed with other things. While that's cooking for about 6 to 8 minutes, we wanna go to al dente, where the center of rice grains are still hard, but the outside has started cooking. That's al dente for rice, similar concept to pasta. So we're going to go to medium on this little pan. Throw some butter in there. It's about 3 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna let the butter melt. In the meantime, I'm keeping an eye on the rice. Once your butter has melted mostly, you're going to add your ingredients we're basically candying our barberries and raisins. All right, I think I'm ready to add everything here. I have kind of gone through the barberries and made sure they're mostly clean. There's no rocks or debris that was shipped with it. I like to use golden raisins in here. You can use regular raisins. Craisins, which are cranberry raisins, are also an option. This is when, by the way, you would put pistachios, walnuts, crushed walnuts, slivered or chopped pistachios, almonds. Your options are endless here. There's a lot of nuts and dried fruits, mangoes, dried mangoes can go in here. So you add them to this, raisins and barberries. They start to fatten up a little bit and get plump, and that's when you're done. So we're going to test our rice. We're multitasking, kind of, sort of. Not quite there yet, so we've got about 4 or 5 minutes on that, 4 minutes. Okay, my rice is ready. So here's what I'm doing. I don't want this to burn, so I'll go all the way down and even push this off. I'm going to use my towel. Don't want to burn yourself. Right? Carefully dump the rice and the hot water into your colander. Now you want to wash all the rice from your pot. Use the cold water from the tap to make sure you collect all the rice from your pot. Oh look, I got a barberry in there. Here. I'm going to just wash the starch out of this and go like this a couple of times around. One more time. Twice or 3 times should do it. Just make sure you kind of move around and shake it up a little bit. Now the water is draining. You want to leave this here somewhere no less than 10 minutes, up to 30 minutes is okay, while you go back and fix your other stuff. So remember what we were doing here, and we stopped it. We come back here now, back on medium. It was still cooking because the pan was hot. While we were working on the rice, it didn't stop cooking, but we just make sure that we kind of stir it around again to get back on track. I think this is where we want it to be. Here's what I'm gonna do, okay? These are the things that I'm gonna put in the berries. We need some sweetness. You can do sugar, you can do honey. Maple syrup seems to work real well in this dish. Gives it a distinctive flavor. I'm gonna push this off the heat because once you add the sugar, you don't want to burn the sugar. There you go. I like cardamom in this berry mixture. We need another smidge of saffron solution. Remember, the recipe that you will find in the comments calls for 4 tablespoons plus a teaspoon of saffron solution. One thing that I like, again, this is not Persian, and if you don't like it, you can skip it. I like coconut oil in my berries because I just like the flavor of coconut, and it goes real well in this context. If you don't like coconut oil, or you just don't want to get too far away from the traditional route, you can skip the coconut oil. This is now pretty much done. One last item is the rose water. I know some people don't like rose water. Some members of my family are allergic to it, so you need to be mindful of that. Just a little bit of rose water, about a teaspoon, would do here. And this is another traditional touch, but because I know not everybody wants rose water, it's just an optional in the recipe. There you go. This thing's now ready, and we're gonna push it off and go back to making our batter with the rice. Our rice has been draining here for about 15 minutes now, and we're ready to make our Tahchin rice batter. Before we make the batter with the rice, we need to make the sauce, if you will, which is an egg, yogurt, and saffron-based sauce, and then we'll add the cooked rice. So get a large bowl. Make sure your bowl is large enough so you can distribute and mix everything properly and not run out of space. We're going to start with our 1.5 cups of yogurt. You can use fat-free or whole yogurt. I find whole yogurt to have a better flavor for this recipe, but if you like to go with fat-free, make it a little more healthy, there's nothing wrong with that. We got 5 egg yolks here. we're gonna add to the yogurt. We have some salt and pepper. Again, the recipe is down below. And then we have our vegetable oil. I use grapeseed oil. You can use canola or any neutral oil. Don't use olive oil for this recipe. And then use our whisk to make sure this is all distributed well. At this point, we add 4 tablespoons of saffron solution. Here you are. This is now well mixed and distributed. Now we're going to add our rice to this. You notice I put the whisk away because we don't want our cooked basmati rice to break or get damaged. At this point, we're going to fold the sauce into the cooked rice. Just go around, kind of like if you were making cake, quick bread, like muffin batter or some of your cake batters. Make sure all the cooked rice grains are completely covered with the yellow sauce. Here's the deal. You can make this the morning of. I don't recommend making it the day before, but you can make it hours ahead of time and then put it in the fridge and then bring it back and let it come to room temperature and proceed to the final baking of your tahchin. So our batter, as we call it, is ready. This is going to be the Pyrex dish in which we're going to bake our tahchin. I am going to heat up this little ramekin or a small bowl, if you use a little bowl, of butter and neutral oil. This happens to be grapeseed, and your saffron solution. Here it is, butter, grapeseed oil, and saffron solution. Obviously, a main feature of this dish is the crunchy mold, if you will, that we will end up with. And you want to ensure proper separation of your vessel, of your mold, from the tahchin mix that you put in there. That requires putting oil in there. What I'm going to do is, in addition to the saffron and butter that give it flavor, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. I know people add other things like the cardamom that we added into our berries and raisins. The glass Pyrex dish has another benefit, which is the first few times you make this dish, before you know your timing real accurately every time and you trust it, you can look through in the oven, look from outside and see how brown it's gotten. That gives you an idea that you're on the right track. The first few times, then you can just make it in a metal pan or a pie dish or whatever you have. Go as far up the sides as you can, like this. Now what we're gonna do is, I usually divide this in 2/3 and 1/3, okay? I'll put the first 2/3 in at the bottom and start spreading it. Kind of spread this all over, and you have to have uniform thickness at the bottom. One of the tools that I use for this particular job to make sure this is compacted and pressed as much as possible, I have a little plastic dough turner. You all have seen this. Don't use the metal ones because the handle doesn't help. This is just flat piece of plastic. I go like this. I kind of push it a little, drag it, push it, drag it, push it. Again, this is what I have in my kitchen, works. If the bottom of a thick glass works best for you, use it. But you see, the purpose of this is to make sure that your rice mixture is compressed. If there are any bubbles or cavities in the middle, they're going to be eliminated. Here, now we bring our berry mixture. If we had, again, if we had nuts in here, you see why I'm wearing gloves now. The best way to do this is with your hands. So if we had nuts, they will be in here right now. So we get about half of them. Half is going to be outside for decoration. The other half goes right here. So these are going to be trapped in the middle of your Tahchin rice cake. Now, if you watched our original Tahchin video that was made in the pot, you will know that the main feature of Tahchin is really chicken, rotisserie or otherwise cooked chicken. You get the meat off the bone, shred it, and put it right here with these berries, barberries, and raisins and whatever. You would put the meat right here and then put the rest of the rice mixture in with it. So we have put half of our berries and raisins in. Now we're going to put the rest in here. And the difference now is, since we don't have chicken, I put smoked brisket in it sometimes to make it an American barbecue fusion with Persian. Since we don't have meat in here, this is really a side dish at this point, and a good one is that. There you go. So the rest of the rice batter is on here. If you have a convection oven, you can use it and adjust the temperature, but I think just baking with traditional bake mode is going to be fine for this. So compacting this batter, rice batter down, is singularly important because it helps the final Tahchin separate from the glass dish. It just promotes that. If you get problems, if I get a comment where you say, hey, I followed all the instructions in the recipe, and when I was done after hour and a half or however long you end up baking this, the Tahchin didn't separate from the Pyrex dish, the first thing I'm gonna say is, did you compact this? Because you've had enough oil in there, and your oven, you know what temperature you set it at. The one thing I'll look at is whether this was packed in properly. Here's a little trick. Since the purpose, yes, we want to cook this and we want to make sure the eggs and rice and everything cooks to perfection. But since crisping the outer shell is a main feature of this dish, we need to have a way of releasing the moisture from yogurt and eggs out of this while still cooking it. Once you've sealed this completely, you actually have to put about 6 or 8 slits that allow some of that moisture to get out of this thing. We are ready now to put this in the oven. So we're going to go for about 90 minutes, anywhere from 80 to 90 minutes, depending on your oven. Do at least one of these to see what temperature and what time duration gives you the right crunchiness, so that when you flip this thing at the end, the mold will separate and drop in your serving dish or in your pan. And then once you figure out with your equipment in your kitchen, it will always work perfectly. Okay, we've been baking our Tahchin for about hour 16 minutes. I want to show you, look under here. See, because of the glass Pyrex dish, we're able to see how far it's gone, how the browning, the crisping, and all that. So that's why I use a Pyrex dish to show you that for the first couple of times, 3 times that you make Tahchin in the oven, use a glass casserole Pyrex type of dish if you have it. That way it allows you to see the progress and establish your time and temperature guidelines. After that, you can make it in anything, a pie dish, a metal pan or whatever, cookie sheet. But that's where we are. We've got about 7-8 minutes to go. Then we're gonna take it out and show you what it looks like. It's been an hour and a half. Our tahchin is ready and perfectly brown and a bit crunchy. Check this out. As you can see, this is the telltale signs of this being ready. As you can see, it's separated and it looks crunchy brown around the edges. That's what we were looking for. You will want to run a knife around it, or as I'm doing with a spatula. So at this point, we're ready to flip this into a pan that's slightly larger than your Pyrex dish or the serving dish. If you have a huge, let's say it's a China serving platter or whatever, as long as it's larger than this guy, you can just flip it over this. Make sure you don't burn yourself. Hold both of them tightly, like so, and go like that. And if we've done everything right, the tahchin cake should release itself right there. Look at that. Isn't that nice? So this is going to be my serving dish on this occasion. I just push this to the center. I propose that we just sprinkle these on the top like so. This was the second half in that little frying pan when I was sauteing it with butter. But remember, an hour and a half plus has passed and the butter tends to congeal, right? So just put this in the microwave oven for about 20 to 30 seconds to make sure that butter remelts. And you do this right before you want to serve this tahchin. So my friends, if you like what you saw today, please like this video. Doesn't it look beautiful? Look at this. Like the video, share it with your friends and family on social media. When you make this, especially during this current Nowruz season, Happy Nowruz, Happy New Year, Sal No Mubarak. Enjoy this with your friends and family. Send me pictures of your creation on my Instagram account at Cafe Bagheri. I will give you a shout out and I'll post it. Thank you very much. I'm sure you've subscribed to this channel, right? If you have not yet, if you just came along, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit that little bell button so you get a notification when there's a new video or I do a community post or maybe a YouTube live one of these days. Thanks again, and come back and see me right here at Cafe Bagheri very, very soon. Now you know what time it is. We need to cut into this baby and see what it looks like. Check this out. So what I would do is, now as a side dish, now if we had chicken in this, it would be main dish, but let's see what it looks like inside, right? So I propose this is, for my appetite anyways, one portion. Of course, I would have salad or other meat dishes next to it, unless I put chicken or something in here. I always prefer the corner piece, so let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get it so you can see what it looks like inside. And you put a little bit of that there. Hey, would you like to try? No? No? Okay. Let's get a bite right here. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Oh, yum. Oh my God. The crunch is awesome. You need to make this.